All right, so the very first question that you guys are going to see, you're going to start to see perimeter questions. And what we have to understand about perimeter is perimeter goes all the way around the outside of any shape. And basically, it's the distance around the outside of that shape. And what we have to understand here is that they're not asking for the actual perimeter of this object. They want us to simplify and find out what the perimeter is going to be. So when I take a look at the three terms that I have, I've got b plus 10, or b and positive 10. That's the hypotenuse. I've got, for the base of this, we're going to combine with b plus 10. We're going to combine b and positive 6. And then we're going to combine that with b and positive 3. And I needed a way to kind of show my students how this is going to look. And we know with variables, one single b by itself is represented, we can represent it with just one single pawn. So each one of these letter b's, I'm just going to put one single pawn out for each. But then it came to numbers, and I said, well, the best way to do this is going to be, it's got to be different. It can't be, we can't represent it by pawns because pawns are our variable. So I bought 20-sided dice, and I said, all right, so here's 10, and it's green because it is a positive 10, and then 6. You can see the decimal points just to the right of that, letting you know it's not that it's a 6, not a 9, and then the number 3. And what's nice about this is everything's positive, so everything can kind of go together very easily. We're able to simplify this without really a lot of work at all. What we can do, what's that property that we learned where we can rearrange things when it's all addition or multiplication? Commutative property. So we can move this thing, we can move these around and put all these guys all together because they're all b's. And then we can take these numbers and we can put them all together as well. We just got to figure out what we have at the end. Well, I've got 3 b's. I see that right here. Go ahead and write that down for yourself. And the second part, I've got 10, and we're adding 6 to that, and we're adding 3 to all of that. Well, 6 and 3 is 9, plus 10 more is going to be 19. And what's nice about these manipulatives is that we can use that property. We can move them around. That's what's key for us. Using that commutative property, being able to move it around, makes it easier for kids to group them. Okay, questions? This, 3b plus 19, is the answer to the perimeter. We would type this expression in, and that's what they're looking for. All right, for the next one, let's go ahead and I'm going to draw a rectangle on my paper that will kind of represent what we have here. And I'll label 2, 2, 1, and then we have a variable minus 1. So we kind of have an expression as one of the sides. Now, the great part about positives and negatives is that you can represent them by color. So when I represent, obviously, the 2, that's going to be a green 2 right there. We're going to have another green 2 right here. We're going to have a positive 1. And then for the other one, we've got to represent one single variable of u. So there's my pawn. Let's see if I can get out of that camera view. One single variable of u. And then I've got to grab, actually, a different color die to represent a negative 1. Now, as we use the commutative property to figure out what our expression is going to be to represent this perimeter, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start moving things around. And one of the things that I notice right here, what do we call a positive and a negative that are opposites to each other, that are the same number but opposites? perfect opposites, but there's another, it's an AI word, a phrase. Additive inverses. What do additive inverses always create? They create 0. So I can take those away, and now it's a lot easier for me to figure out, okay, so this is what's going to represent my perimeter. I have one single U, and we're combining that with the number 4.